This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 621.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. Hello, everybody. This is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. We have two this weekend coming up. WordCamp Nepal, January 23rd and 24th, and WordCamp Zaragoza, which is in Spain, also the 23rd and 24th. And I will not be at those, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm not going to be at those, so sorry. But if you're in that part of the world, go. WordCamps are always awesome. All right, moving on. Segment one in the news. Still kind of early in the year, not too much to share here, but there are, two things here. First and foremost, Matt of Mullenweg shared his yearly birthday post. He is now up to version 4.2, as he calls it, about what's going on in his life. Kind of interesting little read, link in the show notes. And also in the news, the friend of the show, Marcus Burnett, apparently mentioned that the thewp.world has a new homepage, new design. That's pretty cool. Oh, and he told me that I was the presser of the day back on the 8th of January. So that's kind of neat also. So thank you for that. Did not know that was a thing. So check that out. All right, moving on. Segment two, the meat and potatoes of this week's episode. So we are still fresh into the new year, 3 weeks in now, as of this episode coming out. And I wanted to talk about working through problems and finding breakthroughs, because most breakthroughs do not come from staring harder at the problem or grinding out longer hours at your desk. I think they come from changing the medium, the way you are used to thinking about things. So in this case, talking, because when you talk instead of typing, explaining things instead of trying to optimize, or sharing things instead of being, an isolationist, if you will, your brain switches modes and you can start making different connections. That is why explaining a problem out loud, even to a rubber duck, can unlock clarity. One of my personal mantras is just that: clarity begets action, action speaks louder than words. So this episode is about why talking through things works, and how you can use people, tools, and even AI as a thinking partner instead of trying to solve problems and everything else alone. So with that, I have 5. Is it 5? Yes, it's 5 things here. Way to talk things out. First and foremost, no specific order, talking to the rubber duck as a stand-in or any stand-in. This is the classic idea. It's very simple. Explain the problem out loud as if you were teaching it to someone else. A rubber duck, an empty chair, a whiteboard at work. It doesn't really matter what it is, but verbalizing forces that clarity. You often hear the solution halfway through the explanation. And I know this works because it just does. It's weird. I was actually just talking to Marcus actually last week, was it a couple of days ago, about something. And as I said it out loud, I saw the solution. I saw the gap, because you do slow down, you notice the gaps, and you catch assumptions that you didn't realize you were making. So first and foremost, talk to someone out loud or something. Use the rubber duck is the explanation here. Number 2, use voice notes and transcription. Record yourself talking through the problem while walking, driving, or pacing the office. Let it be messy, doesn't really matter. Then transcribe it using an app or service and then review it later. Why this works? Because speaking is faster than typing. Reviewing later gives you the distance and the objectivity. You can highlight the themes, the dead ends, the moments of insights that you forgot you even had. Again, I do this a lot when I'm walking the dog. I'll listen to a podcast, I'll stop, I get an inspiration for an idea. I mean, that's how this episode came to be, is that I was walking my dog about a week ago, heard someone say about the rubber duck thing. So I recorded an audio piece to remember how to do this and talk about it. So I did. So it does work. Okay. Number 3, find like-minded thinkers or masterminds. Now, I'm a huge fan of this. I've talked about it over the years of doing this podcast. A small group of peers who think similarly, but not identically, is a very powerful thing. You can explain the problem, your problem. They can ask clarifying questions, and not provide solutions at first, but it just works this way. And the reason it works is because the act of explaining sharpens your thinking. Their questions surface up blind spots. You also get to borrow mental models without copying solutions. That having that mastermind, having like-minded people, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, if you're a developer, it really helps kind of solidify that overall, that gist, if you will, of that community that you're in. So a small group of peers who think the same way, but not identically, is a very powerful way of trying to figure things out and get through the problem. Okay. Number 4, AI. Now, this is interesting. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Some people are in the middle. I lean towards liking it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I actually did not like it originally. I'm thinking this was terrible, terrible idea. But now I'm pretty close to being all in many different areas. But treat AI like a neutral second brain, kind of like an intern, right? You can share your idea, your outline, your transcript, and then ask for a critique back. Ask what might be missing. Ask for an alternative approach or risks that you might be ignoring, because you don't want to trust it entirely and implicitly. And maybe some prompts to try would be review this idea and point out any weak assumptions. Maybe what am I not considering here? Give me a critique from a different perspective, and summarize my thinking and suggest the next steps. Now, why this works? Because AI has no ego, although many of them do seem to love us more than they should. And they're always thinking, oh, that's a great idea, Adam. Go right ahead and do that new company. But they also have no fatigue. There's no context bias, and it gives you very fast feedback and helps you, kind of pressure test your thinking in all that way. So that's the AI aspect. And then the last one here is talk it through with a mentor. Now, I provide this service for the local Chamber of Commerce. I am a mentor. I have a mentee like 3 times a year. I love doing it. But a mentor, keep this in mind, a mentor does not solve the problem for you. They listen, they reflect, and occasionally they may challenge your framing. And the reason this works is because experience compresses learning. A good mentor will hear the patterns that you may not recognize, and it can help you reframe the problem entirely. It also goes back to when I've asked people in the past about certain roles I've looked at taking on or doing, and people say, well, yeah, that's obvious. Well, it's obvious to them because they're on the outside, right? You might be too close to the situation of the problem to see it clearly. So having it in a mentor-mentee relationship might be a really good way to kind of problem solve any issue at hand. So there you go. Again, just kind of repeating these. Those are the 5. Pretty easy, pretty basic, pretty low-key episode there. Talk to the rubber duck or use any stand-in. Use voice notes and then transcription. Find a like-minded thinker or a mastermind. Use AI as a thought partner, not a solution. And talk it out and talk it with a mentor. So there you go. Okay, hope that helps you kind of solve some problems as we are already 3 weeks into the new year. It's kind of crazy. So, all right, moving on. Segment 3. Actually, by the way, real quick, if you have any options here, you want to share with me how you solve problems. If you're a business owner, a developer, designer, a creative, an entrepreneur, buying too many domains, let me know. I'd love to share your ideas too. Okay, moving on. Segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This one is a plugin, and it actually, Marcus gets 3 shout outs this episode, because his plugin that I mentioned a few weeks back is now in the repo. It's called Multi-Email Login. It's a WordPress plugin that enables users to associate multiple email addresses with a single account and authenticate using any of them. It's pretty cool. So it's, like I said, called Multi-Email Login. I will put a link to it in the show notes. Congrats for getting that into the repo. Very cool. I'm jealous. I want something in the repo. It'd be kind of fun. Anyway, check it out. It's a great use case. I mean, I see tons of use cases here, so check that out. All right, that is it for this week's episode. I'm going to wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or use that SpeakPipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, become a Patreon, buy me a coffee. I would appreciate it. You can also sponsor the show, fill out the form. I'll get back to you. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right, bye-bye.